Stand, it's Friday Night Live, so it's a little bit more laid back, but not in the topic detail. We were talking about Manchester United plea to Solskjaer in relation to Ed Woodward. We'll be talking about Christian Eriksen becoming more and more likely to Manchester United. We'll be talking about Ollie's somewhat provocative comments towards Pep and Manchester City, which I pretty much missed on the press conference reaction if you didn't see that this morning, and also Pogba in the future at Manchester United and where that might go. But look, it's the end of the week. We've got a Manchester derby tomorrow, and really excited about that. Just big shout out about the watch along tomorrow. Did somebody say Just Eat? We're sponsored by Just Eat tomorrow, and we've got loads of giveaways. So don't, if you fancy a takeaway tomorrow night, bada bing, bada boom. But join us for the watch along tomorrow night. But let's start off then with, I don't know really where to start actually. I don't know whether to start off with the player plea or to start off with Eriksen, because I really want to talk about Christian Eriksen. But let's start off with the player plea first, the player plea. So, this is reported by The Times. It came out sort of yesterday, straight this morning. I think it was yesterday, though, where Manchester United players have, if you remember correctly, around the time that Mourinho was sacked, there was a lot of stories about Ed Woodward referring to the players to find out how they felt. And the players basically had enough of Mourinho, so they basically were like, you know, it's been really hard, and Mourinho ended up being sacked. The story this time from The Times in the UK is that Manchester United players have pleaded with Woodward not to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this time. So that is quite interesting, and the reason I bring it up is because we're a fan channel, and you know, it's a Friday night, so we've got an opportunity to delve into a few topics. And I wanted to get your opinions on this. Where do you sit on footballers of Manchester United pleading with Woodward not to sack Solskjaer and Woodward potentially listening to them? I've already sort of had my say on this, and I had people messaging me today saying, you don't train with Ollie, you don't know anything about him. So yes, the people who should be pleading for his future are the players of Manchester United, because they're working with him day in, day out. Which I suppose actually, you know, a lot of people would jump on that straight away and go, wow, what a great point. But my reaction to that would be that actually, I don't think players should be having anything to do with keeping a manager in a job other than performing on the pitch. If I'm Ed Woodward and I'm the chief executive, and I get a knock on the door and open it up, and there's Scott, Ashley Young, Jesse Lingard, and they all come in and go, please don't sack Ollie, he's doing absolutely fantastic. I'd say, wait a minute, I'm just firing up my computer. It's very quick actually. There he goes. I'm straight onto the Premier League table. Look, there you are. Look, you're doing quite well at the moment, but let's scratch the surface a little bit, boys. Let's sit down, make yourself at home. I've got one of them really nice D'Agostini coffee machines. Whatever you want, hazelnut coffee. You crack on. I've got what I want now, though, so sit down and listen. Look at the fixtures there this season. You know, this season, you've lost to Bournemouth, you've lost to Crystal Palace at home, you've lost to Newcastle, you've lost to West Ham, you've drawn to Villa at home. You're coming in here telling me, pleading with me not to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Get out before I sack you, and close the door and forget your coffee. But seriously, I would. But this is the ingenious, or should I say, naivety and out of depthness of Manchester United's board, specifically Ed Woodward, that he probably does talk to the players about the boss. And that's ridiculous. In any chain of command, you should not be doing that. There is a structure at Manchester United. There is the players, there is the coaching staff, and there is Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward should not be bypassing and undermining his coaching staff to speak to the players about the competence of the manager. Secondly, there is a chain of command. Ed Woodward should be talking to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about the competence of the players and removing the players. The players shouldn't have a say on the person above them. And also, why should these players have any say on who the manager's going to be? To be honest with you, the amount of points we've dropped this season, it's not all on Ole. A lot of it is to do with the players. So you're going to compound incompetence by speaking to incompetence. And the big thing for me as well is that we've all established that within the Manchester United side, there is no leader. Within the Manchester United side, there is no leader. There is nobody with any authority. So why would you listen to anybody? Oh, Ashley Young's going to come in. Has somebody said just eat? No, I'm talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like how I got that in. I'm talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know you couldn't lead a pack of ants to a picnic, but what do you think about Ole as a leader? Wow, he picks me over Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams. I'm in. It's a yes from me. Okay, great. Send me in Jesse Lingard. Boom, shakalak. I'm coming in. Ooh, I'm throwing some moves. How? Champagne. Jesse, what do you think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I really like him. I'm really lucky. I probably should be playing for Preston North End. But I got millions of Instagram followers. I'm selling jumpers like mad. And he keeps picking me a number 10. I'm in. Go, Jesse. Oh, yes, thank you very much. Anyway, who else can I call in? Who else is absolutely irrelevant and incompetent? Lukaku's already gone. But I've listened to all I need to know. So you know what I mean? I just don't trust player opinion in relation to a manager because they're all incompetence backs incompetence. We've had a bad season. The manager's not done well, the coaches haven't done well, and the players haven't done well. So of course they're all going to club in together. The reality is, and the sad thing is, and I'm a big defender of fan opinion because we are very harsh. We cut right to the bone because we've got no loyalty and it doesn't matter. We've got loyalty to the club. What they should be doing is listening to the fans. They should be listening to the fans, not the players. In fact, the players are just employees. The coaching staff are just employees. The fans, we pay the money. We pay the money for the merchandise. We pay the money to go and watch. We've got no loyalty. We'll just tell you the bloody truth. That's who they should be listening to, not the players, in my mind. Mark, is everything all right, mate? Says Tony Marshall. I'm absolutely fine. Give me some opinions, people. Rumours in the US are that Matic and 25 million for Eriksen swap deal is in the works. American media isn't usually credible in the Premier League. What do you think? I think you've hit the nail on the head there. American media is not credible. I would be amazed. I would be absolutely amazed if Jose Mourinho wanted Nemanja Matic. But just talk to me about this for a minute. British arrogant club. I'm sick of the club culture. British. I don't know what you're on about, Delano Richards there. And Mark, I've been observing and thinking the players know the new manager will filter the team. They are hiding behind Ollie and vice versa. Not acceptable, says Z. And that's my fear, really. I just think that the problem is, I think Woodward did go to the players and they did say sack Mourinho. And I think Woodward might have gone to the players and they backed Solskjaer. But it's a poor management tactic. It's a very poor management tactic. The board or Woodward should be a barrier between the players and the manager. They should have the authority and knowledge to do what they want to do. But Ed Woodward does strike me as the sort of guy that, yeah, I'm in charge, but I don't really know what I'm doing. What do you think? And actually, if we had a proper director of football, they wouldn't be talking to the players. They'd just have the knowledge to do it. And this is the problem at United. I'm not going in on the players and I'm not going in on Ollie. I'm talking about, again, it's the incompetence of Manchester United Football Club and the way that it is run by people like Ed Woodward. Ken Killen says, in your last upload, you said Leicester weren't struggling for consistency. They have won the league more recently than we have and deserve to be recognised as a top team, especially with Brandon Rodgers, says Ken Killen. Well, yes and no, Ken, because look at Leicester under Poyal. They were awful. So, yes, Leicester won the league more recently than United did, but recently they've been as bad as we are at the moment under Poyal. One manager change, and that was only in February, March. Like January this year and February this year, Leicester were dreadful under Poyal. And yet, they bring Brendan Rodgers in February, he loses Harry Maguire, and they're still probably the best title contender at the moment. If we beat Man City tomorrow, Leicester are really the only challenge to Liverpool. Drowning of the club started 6 years ago. Welcome to Manchester Business Club, says Michel Lazaragi. Player power occurs too often in modern football, says Maria Treadway. Yes, I agree with that, Maria. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that player power is too big in football. I mean, you look at Arsenal. You know, you've got Arsenal were very unhappy about the relationship between Troops and Aubameyang, and Aubameyang comes out and says, I'll do what I like. And Arsenal, you know, this is what I mean. Player power is not necessarily a good thing. I think in that circumstance, I've got no problem with that. Troops and Aubameyang, whatever. But player power is not a good thing. Unfortunately, some footballers are very clever and some of them are very thick. Hi, Mark. Thoughts on Chelsea not having a ban anymore, says LCT. Well, I actually thought Chelsea could sign players in January anyway. So it's no big, great shakes to me. But what will happen is Chelsea have had a manager who's been in half the time Ollie's been in. They're comfortably in the top four. They're playing really good football. They're integrating their youth. And now he's going to get a transfer in January. So Chelsea are just going up and up and up. And this, I've said this many times about United, which is why it's so important we get a result tomorrow against Man City, then Everton, then Watford, then Newcastle, then Arsenal. We've got to go and win 5 of our next 6 games for me to just start building. Not to get top 4. I don't think we're going to get top 4, but we've got to. This journey's got to start. You know, I hear United fans saying, oh, we're not going to get top 4 this year anyway. But what about next year? You can't just start next August and not and be uncertain. There's got to be some momentum. There's got to be some, growth. And now is the time for the growth with me. And with Chelsea and Liverpool and Manchester City and Leicester, when are they going to get worse? Brendan Rodgers has just signed a new contract, which is interesting. I wanted to talk about that. Chelsea transfer ban has come early, has been repealed early, and they're going to get better. Man City and Liverpool just don't look like they're going to drop off. So there's 4 clubs that are just going chug, 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 getting bigger and bigger and better. United just keep talking about getting better, but actually the gap keeps getting bigger, because as they're going like that and we're flatlining, going, we're going to get better, up, down, up, down, up, down. The consistent line with United is averageness. Yes, great result on Wednesday night, but not so good the 2 results before that. We've had good results this season, we've had bad results, but everyone else above us is like, meh. That gap is not, they're not, I think United's plan seems to me, at some point in the future, we're going to get good. And when we get good, everyone else is going to get bad. But what if we get better and everyone else is already getting better? We've got to start getting better now. On Brendan Rodgers signing that contract for Leicester, I think it's very interesting. If anybody doesn't know, he's just signed a new contract with Leicester today, which is interesting because I think Arsenal fans thought they could just play the release clause and they'd get him. He's clearly not going to Arsenal. He's clearly not leaving Leicester anytime soon, which is great for Leicester. And Allegri has said that he's not going anywhere till the summer. My only concern about Arsenal is they desperately need a new manager. I mean, God, whatever people think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he came into the club and the bounce was big. We basically won every game for 3 months. They've brought in some Poundland version of Solskjaer, who's best known for modelling pants, and his team's pants. 1 point from 6. Sack Emery. Oh, everything's going to be fine now. You draw to Norwich and you lose to Brighton. I mean, they desperately need a proper manager. And my concern with Arsenal is, we keep saying Pochettino won't go to Arsenal because of the Spurs connection, but are we really sure about that? If Arsenal get Pochettino, I'd be very, very worried. I'm not saying that we should get him. You know what? I have got my concerns about Pochettino, but I wouldn't want Arsenal to get him. I really wouldn't. But Spurs sacked him, so maybe it can happen. In the first 3 months, Matic played at CDM and we were successful. What do you think changed, says Will B? Well, Matic has been here 2 years. I think what happened with Matic is that he's too slow, and he's just been getting, ever since even before we bought Matic, he was on the decline. Like 2 years before we bought Matic, I would have bought him. He was a decent player, but I saw him in the year before we bought him a few times, and he was crap. And and that's why I never wanted to buy Matic, because I was like, he's too slow and he's going to get slower. It's not like he's 22 and he's had a bad season. He's getting slower. Ken Killen says, great response, Mark. Also, what player from United's youth squad do you think will be here in 5 years? Love the channel, been here since 20k. Thanks, Ken. I've got a really good feeling about the lad we got from PSG, Aloha Traore. I just think he can be something really special, although we've not really seen him play yet. As an outsider, he would be my outside bet, and I've been talking about him for a couple of years. I think Greenwood's got star quality, so I think he will be. And Twan Sebi would be the other one. I'm not so sure about Brandon Williams and Gomez and Garner. I don't know yet on them, but I would be quite confident about Twan Sebi and Greenwood. And my outsider would be Aloha Traore. Hopefully he would come good as well. But it's interesting talking about that Matic comment, actually, isn't it? Because when you only you will know this, but it was Will B who said it. Only you will know this, but L1 Corbus says, what about Eriksen? We're going to talk about Christian Eriksen now. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. I love the Friday night show. It's laid back, and we just whack through a load of comments and topics. But I wanted to ask you this before I went live. Think about all United signings over the last 3 years, let's say. And I think we can all establish that I actually sit here a lot and think, how have we got the biggest wage bill in the country? Like, that's a fact. Manchester United's wage bill is the biggest in the Premier League. And when you think about that, your mouth drops wide open, doesn't it? It's stunning. Absolutely, no bullshit. It's, no arly barley. It's absolutely stunning that this squad is the most expensive in the league. And yet, on Tuesday, when we saw the squad for the Spurs game and there's no Pogba and Martial, we were like, that squad's awful. So Pogba and Martial, they're not on like £2 million a week. Pogba's paid a lot. Martial's probably played around the same as a lot of the other players. And yet, we've got the most expensive squad in the league. It is incompetence on a whole new level. You know, in the last 6 years, we've sacked 3 managers. We could be on the verge of sacking another one, some feel. We've spent so much money, 800 million. We've got the biggest wage bill in the league. And what have we got to show for it? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely, well, not nothing, but you know what I mean. It's embarrassing. You know, you could argue that Everton's squad's better than ours. All right, maybe not Everton, but certainly there's 6 or 7 better than ours. And they're not paying them half of what we are, some of them. It's stunning. But what I was thinking is, how many of our signings did you actually think that's a bad signing? Because I've got nowhere to hide, because most of our signings, there'll be a reaction video out there. And I didn't want Lukaku. I was really concerned about his first touch and the fact that I thought he was a flat track bully. Bing! I was right about that. I'm not doing this to sort of self-gratificate. I'm not doing that because there will be some I got wrong. But I definitely didn't want Lukaku. Matic, I was adamant we shouldn't have signed Matic, and I was right about that. Eric Bayer didn't really know anything about. Pogba I was very happy with. Zlatan I was very happy with. And what I'm saying is, has Pogba been a good signing? I don't know. Lindelof didn't really know that much about him, but I was quite happy with that signing. Luke Shaw, Herrera, I was happy with those. I can't really think of any others. Sanchez, I was over the moon. I was over the moon, and I was wrong. Realistic score prediction for this week, Mark, says Hasnan and Shield. I think you're talking about the Man City game. I'm going for a draw. Mark, do you think we have an English bias when it comes to buying players? Would you care if we get a quality CM and he benches McTominay? Great show. Magic Eye, I don't really care if we sign Ronaldo and he benches Martial, who's my favourite player. I just ultimately just want Manchester United to be as good as they can be. And you know, the only thing that really matters to me is the badge. I have players that I like. And I do like Scott McTominay. He's proved a lot of people... I don't think McTominay's proved a lot of people wrong, because this is where flip-flops get on my tits, because everybody, and myself included, said, I don't see what McTominay's all about 18 months ago. I was like, I can't see what he's good at. For me, he's going to end up playing for Preston North End. But I'll stand corrected. Because Mourinho was right, Carrick was right, Sir Alex Ferguson was right, because those are the people who were endorsing him 18 months ago. But we were right as fans because we weren't seeing it on the pitch. You know, you've not got a crystal ball. If a player's not offering anything, really, then you're right to say I don't know what he's all about, but we're now seeing it with McTominay. So I wouldn't say I was wrong, or anybody was wrong. I just think he's now showing what they obviously saw in training. Do you think Arsenal are looking up at a manager who is already in a job? Because if it was Potter or Allegri, surely they would have announced it by now. Maybe they're looking at Nuno. Maybe they are looking at Nuno at Wolves. Shady Abanasa says, we lose against small teams because they close the channels and take advantage from the lack of creative attacking midfielder at United. Shouldn't we wait until Ollie gets a number 10 until we judge him? Because he won games that doesn't require a creative number 10. It's a good point, Shady. And Turbatoon says, if you look at the table and results of all the teams so far, it's a very strange season so far. Cheers, mate. In Ollie I trust. Finally, someone turn it around. Just going back to that previous comment about the number 10, let's not forget there was a number 10 available in the summer and the club and Ollie decided not to go for them, and his name was Bruno Fernandes. So I don't think saying, oh, let's wait for him to sign a number 10, he ignored the opportunity to sign a number 10 in the summer. So that's when the number 10 should have come in. So I think Ollie has to take the blame with Woodward for that. Manchester United can't go into a season without a number 10, and we did. United can't go into a season without two midfielders, and we did. That was incompetence, and hopefully that will never happen again. But let's talk about Eriksen, because the reason I was talking about how I felt about Matic and Lukaku is because I'm going to be absolutely honest with you on this one. And I did back Lukaku and I did back Matic, even though I didn't want them. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. They're pulling a United shirt on for the first time, and I did give them a bit of time. Would you take Hodgson, Big Sam or Pardew at United as Mr. Mitt? No, I wouldn't. Seriously, come on. But I'm going to be honest with you about Christian Eriksen. I don't want him at Manchester United. I think he's a bad buy. And the reason I say that is this. I know a lot of you like Eriksen, and I know a lot of you will say, well, he's better than Mata, he's better than Lingard, he's better than Pereira, and he is. And I agree with that. But you know what? A two-wheeled... a wheelbarrow's got 3 wheels, right? If Lingard and Mata and Pereira are a wheelbarrow with 1 wheel, Eriksen's just 2 wheels. It's not 3 wheels. It doesn't make it work. It's just a slightly easier to move than one with 1 wheel. Eriksen, right, reminds me massively of Alexis Sanchez, and we should learn our lesson here. Alexis Sanchez, and I fell into this trap, We're after Sanchez. He's Arsenal's best player. Oh my God, take the L, Arsenal. Oh, take the L, Man City. We've beat you all. What a player he's going to be. We've got Alexis Sanchez. Massive, massive flop. And when you scratch the surface of research on that deal, he'd been crap at Arsenal all season before that, and he was on the decline. But we didn't think about that. Oh, doesn't matter. Oh, he just wants to get out of Arsenal. No, he's not on the decline. He just wants to get out of Arsenal. And we ignored that. Eriksen has been crap for Spurs for about 8 months. And he's getting close to 30, and we're going the same again. Oh, yeah. And also, he wanted to go to Real Madrid in the summer. He snubbed us in the summer, but now Real Madrid won't go near him. He's like, oh, yeah, I will come to United. So there's just lots and lots of warning signs with Eriksen. Lots and lots of warning signs, and none more so than this. We've done this before with Sanchez. We go and take somebody on reputation, and I've seen United fans going, oh, Eriksen's brilliant. But actually, if you talk to Spurs fans or you watch what Spurs have been doing when he's been coming on or starting, he's been dreadful for a long time. And are we just going to put that all down to the fact that he's uncertain about his future? Well, even more worrying then. So he's not playing well because he doesn't know where he's going to play. So he's weak-minded as well. For me, if we sign him and we get the Eriksen of a year ago, brilliant. But why are we taking a risk on a player like that when we've done this before? And this is what I mean. Woodward keeps saying, we've changed our ways. We don't do it with recruitment anymore. And yet here we are with a situation with Christian Eriksen where we're willing to go and do basically Alexis Sanchez 2.0. It could work out and it could be really good, but I think why go and get a player like that? Pay a little bit more. Go and get a Maddison. Go and get a Bruno Fernandes. But Eriksen, to me, will block those deals anyway. You're not going to. Why would you get Eriksen and then get Maddison in the summer? It doesn't make any sense. So for me, it's just a big no. I think it's a bad deal. Should we make a move for Zaha in January? Says Javier Ocho. I mean, Zaha doesn't get mentioned with United, and I think that's because obviously he was here already. I mean, Zaha is getting on a little bit now. I think he's 27, 28. I like him, but there's just something about. There's nothing logical for me about why I don't want Zaha, but I think it's probably to do with the thing I don't think you should ever go back. And I don't think you should go back. I don't think we really should have gone back for Pogba. As much as I was excited, in hindsight, I don't think it was that good a deal. Let's be honest, you're only ranting about players wanting Ollie to stay because you'll closet Ollie out and know this has stopped him from leaving, says Luke Haynes. Mate, I've been doing it for 5 years. I'm only answering your comment because you paid a fiver to put it up. But the evidence is out there in relation to me. Why would I lie? All this bullshit about, oh, you're just not saying Ollie out because you don't want to be divisive in the fan base. Ollie out. He's absolutely shit. Get rid of him. Ollie in. He's the new Messiah. He's the new Sir Alex. I've got no problem saying what I think about Ollie. I've said it a million times. Do I think he's the right man for Manchester United? No, I don't. Do I want him to be? Yes. Do I think United are going to sack him? I don't think so. And what's the main problem at Manchester United? It's the board. Whether you sack Ollie or not, the board is still there and they're not going to be moved. So that's my frustration. That's my anger. I don't think sacking Ollie will actually make anything happen anyway. So I'm not afraid to do anything on this channel in relation to my opinion, and I've proved that over 5 years. Would you take Frank de Boer at United, says Joel Morris? Nope. Nice easy answer there. Nice easy answer there. Shout out for Oliver Westcoat's granddad. And United need a Cantona, says Nick Andrews. Well, they need, we need a Roy Keane as well, don't we? Those players don't necessarily exist anymore. You've got to try and find new players. Would we be in the top 6 if other clubs weren't performing so poorly right now, says Jordan Lee? Would we be in the top 6 if other clubs weren't performing so poorly right now? Well, Jordan, I mean, look, we are in the top 6, aren't we? I think we're 6th. We could be in the race for 4th with Leicester and Chelsea if we hadn't dropped the silly points that we have. Even the draws, forget the losses, and we've lost to Bournemouth, Newcastle, West Ham and Palace. Off the top of my head, I think they're the only games we've lost in the league. But look at the draws. Southampton, that was 2. We shouldn't have dropped 2 points there. Villa, that should have been another 2 points. 4 points. Find another 2 somewhere. 6 points onto what we've got, and we're right up there with Chelsea. We don't deserve to be. We've deservedly dropped the points that we've dropped. But let's not forget, as I understand it, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still needs to win the next 2 games to have a point more than Mourinho had when he was sacked after 17 games. I still think this is our worst start since 1986. So, that Spurs result has changed a lot of people's mindset from the fact that, oh yeah, it's all okay. It's a bad season. It is a season where a manager should be considered to be sacked. Not saying he should be sacked, but they should be thinking about sacking him because it's been a dreadful start. So to try and dress it up in any other way, I think is wrong. It's been a bad season. That's why it's so important that we don't lose to Man City tomorrow, because it's another game lost. That would be our 5th loss of the season. It's not even Christmas. And I think actually the form of Arsenal sort of is saving Ollie a little bit at the moment because the attention's all on them. Do you think the players can be consistent, says Belial the Lord? Well, consistency is a word that Manchester United need to be this year. We're struggling with it. And I personally, look, we talk about this so often on the channel. We all know it. So I don't like repeating stuff, but there are themes that run through over the months. You know those themes. We haven't got a number 10. We haven't got depth in the midfield. And the big thing we always say is we haven't got a leader. I feel sorry for Harry Maguire because I certainly wouldn't say Harry Maguire is a flop, but I think I have noticed over the last few weeks there's an issue with Harry Maguire. Not that he's playing dreadful, but he just isn't playing as well as he can do. And I do wonder if actually it's quite surprising how many that he only signed in the summer and he's been captain of the club. And that to me isn't wrong in one way because we lack leaders, but it's a lot of responsibility for a new player. Some players come into a club and they're brilliant straight away. Some of them take a long time, take a year to adjust. Look at Fred. This is his 2nd season. Lindelof last season was good. His 1st season wasn't great. Vidic and Evra were the same. So Harry Maguire, it might take him a little bit of time to adjust to Manchester United, but you're giving him the captaincy and that responsibility as well. And I just think with Harry Maguire, maybe he is struggling a little bit at the moment with that sort of pressure. I don't know, but we don't have leaders in that team is my point. And, Ashley Young wears the captain's armband. And whatever you think about Ashley Young, he's not a leader. He's not a captain. He's just not. And that, people say, well, you don't know what he's like on the training ground. Well, I don't need to. Look, leadership is everything. Look at John Terry. Look at Gerrard. Look at Roy Keane. Look at Mark Noble. Look at... You see it on the pitch. You can see they are a leader. It doesn't mean they're winning Premier Leagues every season, but you can see they are a leader. Ashley Young's not a leader. He's not. How many times have we seen goals going in and he stood there with his hands on his... he's just not the persona of a leader. And we haven't got leaders in that team. And I think that's why we struggle for consistency. I was asked this question the other day. If you could bring one player back to Manchester United from the past and drop them in the team now, the obvious answer is Cristiano Ronaldo because he's the best player we've had over the last 30 years. He's a world superstar. He's amazing. I wouldn't bring Ronaldo back. I'd bring Roy Keane back because sometimes it's not about bringing the best player back. It's about bringing the player back that's what you need right now. And if you drop Roy Keane into that game against Villa last week, we wouldn't lose. We wouldn't draw it. We'd win it. Because he'd get another 20% out of every one of those players who let their heads drop or, in the first 10 minutes you can tell they're not up for it. We know when United are going to struggle. First 10, 20 minutes you go, it's going to be one of them days. But if you've got Roy Keane there or a proper leader, it's not going to be one of those days because he'll start bollocking them. And that's what United miss. We haven't got leaders on the pitch. So will the consistency disappear? I think the last few years show us that the inconsistency is probably here to stay. I just hope it's not. Maddison is the real deal, says Mikael Empire. And watching Inter Roma, Smalling is bossing Lukaku. Ball was just played up to Timberland, missed it and sent Chris into the car park. Thanks, Chloe Jenkins. Yeah, it's Inter versus Roma tonight, isn't it? But it's such a slow league. It is a slow league. Herrera would have been, but I think McTominay shows leadership qualities, says Ghost 1777. I think McTominay does show leadership qualities, but I think Scott McTominay is only 22 or 23 this month. Again, it's a bit like the Maguire thing. Why are we talking about Scott McTominay as a leader? He's still inconsistent. Like, against Spurs he was brilliant, but there has been games this season where he's had bad games because I think he's an old 22. To me, I look at McTominay as a 19-year-old, and I think when he's 25, I don't think we're going to see the best consistent McTominay for a couple of years yet. I still feel he's growing as a player and physically. So, a bit like Harry Maguire, who's obviously adapting to Manchester United, do you want to give them the responsibility of being a leader as well? A captain should be somebody who is in charge of their own game so much that they can do their own game in easily and then be dealing with other people. That's what leadership is. If you want to go to work and just focus on your job, you don't get promoted. You just do your job. If you think you can do your job and manage others, you get promoted. That's what leadership is. And I don't think McTominay and Maguire have actually established themselves consistently to be able to master their job yet, to then be taking on leadership of others. Leadership and consistency comes into are absolutely intrinsically linked. How do we expect any of our players to play well when their bosses actively admit they don't care about results on the pitch, only revenue, says Cy James. Well, we've spoken about this. The message that comes down from the club is poor. Cinetrix says McTominay's only had 1 or 2 bad games. I think you're misunderstanding the point here. We're talking about McTominay for captain, and I think that he's not the finished article yet, so I wouldn't be giving him the captaincy. I think it's unfair on him. Williams will become a good wee player, says Ghost Jack, and De Gea should be captain again, says Ingrid. Well, De Gea apparently had the captaincy took off him, and let's be honest, he has had it took off him because there's been plenty of times we started the season with De Gea as captain because Ashley Young didn't play. And now he doesn't even get it when the captain doesn't play. Do you want to know why? Because remember he came out and said that we're not good enough, it's not acceptable. The club didn't like that, so they stripped him of the captaincy. Absolute jokers. Banter Club FC. Because Roy Keane used to do this all the time. We'd get knocked out of Europe and he'd go bloody mad in the post-match interviews. Didn't get the captaincy stripped off him because it sends the shockwave through. It represents the club. That's not good enough. We must do better. De Gea comes out and says when we must be doing better and and isn't allowed to be captain anymore. It's a dictatorship. I guarantee I know who decided on that as well, and it wasn't Solskjaer. I don't get why De Gea isn't a captain, says Leaf Hunter. There you go. I've just explained it to you there. Vandy Candy says that De Gea has been struggling in goal. Let him focus on keeping. I think De Gea's been fine this season. And when we started the season, he was captain. I think he was fine. I think when you are at a certain stage like De Gea is, then it's that added responsibility can be quite good. I just don't think it's a good thing for a younger player to have it when they've not established themselves yet. And he was only telling the truth, says Eddie J. Yeah. Keane got sacked, says Johan Gustafsson. Yeah. Oh God. Johan, how old are you, first of all? Because that's a ridiculously naive comment. Roy Keane did an interview with MUTV and ended up leaving the club. You're right. Go back to early 2000s when we were getting knocked out by Leverkusen and everything, and Roy Keane used to do loads of interviews at that time saying we're not good enough, we need to buy players. He wasn't sacked then. That was political within Manchester United. Roy Keane was coming towards the end of his career, and they felt he was expendable, so they sacked him for comments. He used to do it all the time when he was one of the best players in the world, and they never sacked him. People actually considering McTominay to the captain. This is where we're at, says Super Salion. And you know what? I can't wait for the game tomorrow because I think it's going to be a real eye-opener for everybody about where we are, myself included. I fancy us to get a point. I demand we do not lose this game. Wolves have beaten Man City. Norwich have beaten Man City. They haven't got Aguero. They're weak at the back. And it's a Manchester derby. There is no excuse to lose this game tomorrow. I know on paper they're better than us, but they are susceptible. And we're meant to be, we've beaten Spurs, we're on a roll now. Everything's in our favour to go and get a result tomorrow. And we've got to get one. Because if we go and lose tomorrow, we're back where we are before the Spurs game. And I know some people will be going, well, what do you expect? But who are we? Who are we as a club? Are we going to accept that losing to City's okay? And we're basically a mid-table club because that's what some people want to do in their backing of the manager and the players. Or are we going to demand that we're better than this and we've got to be better than this? And another loss in the season we've already had. I don't think it's acceptable to just go, well, it's Man City, we've lost. We've got to treat it like a cup final tomorrow. We've got to go in there and we can't lose this game. It's like being relegated. We can't lose this game. You've got to raise it. You think about teams that are in relegation battles in April and then suddenly they start playing like they're going to be killed if they don't win. Well, United have got to play like that tomorrow. We can't. even a draw is a great result. We've got to start building something, and it starts tomorrow, because to be honest with you, I think if Rashford wasn't on the pitch on Wednesday, even though Fred and McTominay played really well and Lindelof played well, I don't think we would have won it. I do feel that the difference in that game was Marcus Rashford. And I thought United deserved to win, but I felt that the actual winning of the game came from Marcus Rashford. So that result, as good as it was, could easily be forgotten as, well, it was only because of Rashford we beat them, if we go and get stuffed by Man City tomorrow. So we've got to take the momentum of that result and build it into another good result, and then beat Everton, and then beat Watford. That's what we need to do. Because otherwise, we're just going to continue down this path of, oh, it'll be fine in the future. And the future's never going to come. And that's why it's so important we get a result tomorrow. And also, I've got to be consistent here. I'm one of those fans who've said it many a time that I'm not having my expectations lowered by the owners of this football club. They want to lower your expectations. They want you to go, well, it's okay to lose against Man City. It's not. It's not okay. We're Manchester United, biggest club in the world, biggest club in the country, biggest wage bill in the country. Whatever you want to say, we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And we need to start bloody acting like it. At the moment, to me, it just feels like United are just a work experience scheme. Oh, you used to play for us. You've got no CV. You can coach us. Oh, you used to play for us. You scored a great goal. You can be the manager. You used to be an assistant manager for us years ago. Yeah, you can come back. Oh, you're from the youth setup. You can play. Oh, you've got a British passport. You can play. And that's what a lot of people sort of perceive United. That's what our rivals perceive us as at the moment. They think we're a bit of a joke, like a work experience scheme. And, you know, we've got to start rebelling against that joke. We've got to start proving ourselves. And we have proved ourselves in some ways this season. You know, Tottenham result was good. We didn't get beat by Liverpool. Everybody else has, including City. We've got to find some consistency. And I just don't see us losing tomorrow. And I think we can build on that, because I think we can beat Everton. You know, a 2-game run is nothing really, but a 2-game run against Spurs and Man City does give this team confidence, and that's what we need. Busting up, Maguire is struggling in our weak-minded team. He cannot affect all the other players mentally. A winning way needs to be beaten into these players. Our team is better than most other than the top 4. United do struggle, busting up, with that winning mentality. It's very difficult. I spoke about this about 6 months ago, and I know some of you spoke about it when you've called in or in your comments as well. One of my big fears with this team, and I said it after Cardiff, is I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I mean, how can you trust a team that wins virtually every game for 3 months and then goes on a run of 4 or 5 months playing terribly? You know, even if we won every game for 3 months from this point till February, I'd be like, where's the drop-off going to be? I don't trust this team. That's my opinion. But secondly, and more important than my opinion, these players don't have a winning mentality. And a lot of these players have been playing at this club for 3 or 4 years. You know, you think about the Rashfords, the Lingards, the Martials, the Pogbas, the Lindelofs. There's plenty others. They've been here for De Gea. They've been here a long time. And they've been part of this inconsistency a long time. And when you're part of something for a long time, you become part of it. Have these players got that mentality that we used to have with the Keanes and the Scholes and the Giggs, where all they know is winning and all they want to do is win? This team have got used to being inconsistent. They've got used to drawing games, losing games. They're not used to going bang, 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 winning mentality. Now, you either train that into them, which is very difficult, or you get rid of them and you buy new players in, which is very difficult because we know our club doesn't want to spend that sort of money. So inconsistency, I think, is the biggest problem that Solskjaer's got. And removing that inconsistency is very difficult when you've got players who ultimately are used to being inconsistent. It's difficult. You think about people you work with, you go to school with them. Their work mentality is their work mentality. And it's very difficult, isn't it? It's why a lot of people in January, you know, they pile on the pounds all year round, and then they go, oh, I'm too fat, I've had a great Christmas. In January, I'm getting down the gym. And they're all down the gym. The gyms are packed in January, but they're not so packed in February, and they're less packed in March. And in April, they're back to normal again for the rest of the year. And this happens year on year. It's very, very difficult to change the human psyche. People can do it in a short burst. We saw it for 3 months under Ollie, but then they revert to normal. And I think that's what happened. Ollie came in, winning mentality. We're going to change things around. We're going to get back to the United way. And for 3 months, they bought into it. They went down the gym in January, February, and March. And then they were back at home being lazy again for the rest of the year. And that's the problem. I don't think people want to address this. It's not just about buying players. It's about the current set of players. That mentality is not right. Now, with people like Greenwood and McTominay and some of the new signings like Wan-Bissaka and Dan James, they don't necessarily have to fall into that trap. But the danger with them is, because they've not been around for 2 or 3 years like some of the players. But the problem is, the longer they get exposed to these inconsistent results, they become like that as well. And the cycle continues. It's very, very, very difficult. And to be honest with you, if I had a magic wand, Goldbridge Potter, you know what I would do? I would annihilate that squad. I would get rid of 75% of it. And I would bring in a whole other set of players. Totally unrealistic because it's not FIFA, it's not Football Manager. But that's what needs to United. United need new owners, a director of football, and 75% of that playing squad needs changing, and you probably need a whole new coaching staff as well. And that's the enormity of the problem. That's why when people say, "Oh, just say Ollie out," or "just say Ollie in," I'm like, that's just one tiny piece of the problem at Manchester United. It is huge. And that is why, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think Ollie's going to be successful at Manchester United. And I don't think that this playing squad is ever going to be successful at Manchester United. It needs a wholesale change. And I will say this to you now. I hope to God that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is successful at Manchester United. But if I can be absolutely blunt here, I would be absolutely stunned if he wins as a Premier League title. I cannot see it. I think he will be here next year. He might even be here in 2 years. But I cannot see him winning as a Premier League title. And that is surely what Manchester United is all about. I don't care how good the journey is. I don't care how much we improve. I don't care how many players he brings in and how many players he takes out. I don't think him and his coaching staff are good enough to win a Premier League title. I just don't. I just don't see the evidence. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Lack of a plan B. Some of the coaching's very naive and poor, but that can be improved on. But the players that he believes in, I just don't think they're Premier League title winning quality. I'm not saying we can't get second or third under Ollie, but I'd be stunned if we ever win a Premier League title. And some people would say, and I can see it in the live comments, well, if you think that, he's got to go. But that's not my decision to make. And I don't think the club want to make that decision. I want him to succeed, I really do. And I think we will get a result against Man City. And there is an opportunity then to go between City and the new year and win 3 or 4 games. And that's really good. And ultimately, we can only get better under Ollie because it's been one of our worst starts in decades. So we are going to improve, but I don't ever see us winning a title under him. And I'll happily say that. I mean, I'm not going to start saying Ollie out or anything like that because I've explained that. But I will happily say to you now, I do not think we're ever winning a Premier League title with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the manager. Because if Ollie came in and said, or showed us that he wanted to get rid of even half of that squad, I'd think, yeah. But he's not. He shows faith in players that shouldn't be here. Even Ashley Young, who did play okay against Spurs the other night, he should have been gone in the summer. But we're still using those players. Phil Jones, why is he still here? Played him against... who did he play him against and we lost because of him? Well, we didn't lose. Sheffield United, we drew. These players should not be getting chances at the club and are still here. I don't think Lingard should be here and he's still picking him as well. So whilst Ollie's trying to polish these players that just aren't good enough, I just don't see it. There's too much that needs to be done at that club. But what I would say is, who could come in and win a Premier League title for United? That's very important. Who could come into Manchester United and win as a Premier League title? Because I genuinely do also think that if you dropped Jurgen Klopp in charge of this team, unless you're going to give him 600 million and tell him that he can sell most of that squad, I don't think he could win a title either. I don't think Pep could do it. I don't think there's a manager out there that could win a Premier League title with the owners that we've got and would anyway. So, that goes in Ollie's favour, I suppose. Ollie better show us something over the next 10 games, and in the transfer window, he's made too many mistakes and it's getting old. He owes us better. If he can't show us a better Ollie, he should go, says Milverton Richards. Tomorrow. It's all about tomorrow, isn't it? Did somebody say just eat? Because it is all about tomorrow. There's no doubts about that. Anybody, link in the video description. You can, if you live in the UK and you live in Europe, You can still get your Christmas jumpers before Christmas. The link is in the video description. These are some of our jumper designs that we've got. There's the 5 Cantonars one that I'm wearing at the moment. You can get them in different colours as well than this. You've got the Class of 92 one, and then you've got the Adored jumper, and then you've got the T-shirts, the green and gold, the United, and the 1999. We're back in 99. So if you want to get someone one for Christmas, or you want to get one for yourself, the link's in the video description for those. Thanks everybody for watching. Please do smash a like on the video. I really enjoy the Friday night show because it's just a little bit more laid back and we can cover a lot more topics. And look, I really do appreciate it. I enjoy it, and I hope you have as well. Ollie made the best signings since Sir Alex Ferguson. Let him sign another 7 players and let's see, says Turbytoon. I believe the board are waiting for the fan base to turn completely so they don't get hung out when they sack him, says Chloe Jenkins. And Rowan, I'm just not going to read your comment. In fact, I don't have to read it if it's just going to be something negative, and you won't be making another comment anyway. Twat. People think if they do a super chat, I've got to read it out. I don't have to read it at all. This is a fantastic channel. Thanks everybody who commented on the video this morning. We're talking about the email that Phoebe sent in about her dad dying, who was a United Stand community contributor. And I was reading some of the comments today. And whatever these idiots think about this channel, this is a fantastic community that we've built worldwide. We don't all agree with each other. That's the whole point. But we have built up a community that matters. I raised just under £13,000 for cancer care last month. I checked it today, which is just stunning. Which means over the two streams that we've done over the last 2 years, we've raised over 20 grand, which is just amazing. So there's so much positive about what we're doing. There's a lot of negative about Manchester United, and we do get infected by that, but we're just fans who love the club. The real problem are the owners and people like Ed Woodward. That's where you need to be facing your shouts of negativity, because they're the one inflicting this on us. But tomorrow, join us for the watch along, 4:30, because it's 5:30 kickoff. Did somebody say just eat? Get a takeaway with us tomorrow. Just eat. We've got discount codes, we've got competitions, we've got polls. It's going to be something a little bit different on the watch along. You'll have everything that you normally get, but there's going to be whistles and all sorts. It's going to be, if it works, it's going to be a good fun. I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the start to your weekend, and I think you're all fantastic. I've said it so many times before. Ignore the trolls. They're idiots. We know what this channel's all about. It's real fan opinion for real fans, and that's what it's always been. And that means that we say what we think, and some people don't like that, but there you go. Speak to you all soon. Can't wait for tomorrow. We don't lose this derby. We get a bit of momentum and we start searching for that word, consistency. Speak to you soon.